Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pi, and we are about to get into Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 1. So I'm going to break these down episode by episode. So I am asking, please, no spoilers, guys. No spoilers. Before we get started, if you could please comment, like, and subscribe, I will greatly appreciate it. So we get into the episode, and of course, we start off with Nick and Vanessa. They're meeting them, guys in their living quarters and the ladies in their living quarters. And, they're just talking to everybody, just getting a feel for how they're feeling, if they're excited, nervous, getting a little bit of background on some of their dating experience. And this is when we discover that Jessica is a single mother. And so I can't remember if it was Nick or I think it was Vanessa. She asked, "So are you going to lead with that?" And Jessica is like, "No, I don't think I'm going to, expose that right out the gate because I want someone to basically fall in love with me for who I am or to be interested in me for me and not base it off of the fact that I have a child." And in my opinion, I think that is something that you definitely should let somebody know as soon as possible, like right out the gate. Like to me, that's a deal breaker. Children are a deal breaker when you're dating, I think. Just me personally, I am a single mother, so I have two kids. I would definitely always tell anyone that I was dating, I have kids. But to each their own. So anyway, okay, we get into the pods. And the first couple that we see is Trevor and Chelsea. Trevor is this big buff guy, and he is telling Chelsea that he has a dog, and his dog is named Chelsea. And then Chelsea asks him what is his name, and he says his name is Trevor. And she says, "Oh my God, I have a dog named Trevor." And I'm like, "What? Huh? Is this a coincidence? This is weird." So they both have dogs with the other person's name, which I think is very strange. So, anyways, they have a nice little date, and then we see Chelsea with Jimmy. And Jimmy is from a small town, and Chelsea, she lets him know that she is from LA. And he is like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Like, that's crazy that I can't remember if she said it, he said it, but they were just like, you're from a small town, I'm from a big city, and it's just, crazy that we have this chemistry and we come from basically two different backgrounds, which was, not too big of a deal in my opinion. But anyway, so then we get to see Jessica, and she has her first date that we see with Jimmy. And he's just telling her, he loves her voice. And she's like, "Oh my God, everybody says I sound like Fran." And I'm like, she does sound like Fran. I think it was the nanny, Fran Dreschka. I think that's her name. But anyway, she really does sound like Fran. But she has a really, really cute voice. She's a really beautiful girl, might I add. This is a single mom, gorgeous girl. So they are really liking each other, and they're like, he's like, "I don't like to like really get ahead of myself, but I really, really feel good about you." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel the same way about you." So I'm like, okay, they're falling fast, right? So the next thing we see is the next thing we see is Jessica is having a date with Matthew. Matthew is also from a small town. Matthew is so awkward. So like he comes in the pods and he has his notepad and he tells her that he has some questions written down. I think it was either 1 through 10 or 1 through 15, and for her to pick a number. And he would ask the question that coincides with that number. So she picks a number and he asks her the question. She answers the question and she says, "So what's your answer to this question?" And he was like, "I didn't even think I would have to answer any questions. Like I wasn't even prepared." what? What? So you wrote these questions and you didn't even think that someone would say, so what is your opinion, or not opinion, but what is your answer to this question? That was just crazy to me. And so then he just like awkwardly walks out of the room, which I think was strange. So the next date we see is him, Matthew again, and now he's in the pod with Sarah Ann, which he is super, super awkward again. And again, he's telling her about these questions. And so she picks a number and he answers the question, but she goes into this real long, drawn out answer, right? And so we see him just like sitting there like, la, 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 la. And then he just walks out of the room again while she's talking. And so she's like, hello, hello, are you still there? Hello? Is he gone? And she was like, I'm like, girl, run. This man, something's wrong with this man. And then in his confessional, he says, like, I'm just not good at, dating, but I want to practice. I want to get better. Superman, he was awkward too, or something to that effect. He compared himself to Superman. I'm like, sir, do not compare yourself to Superman, especially the last Superman. That man was fine, okay? Do not do that, okay? So, anyways, now we see Matthew again, and he is now having a date with AD. And AD is short for Amber Desiree. And Amber is this really pretty black girl, right? And so um she just comes right out the gate and was like, what are you looking for in a woman? Like, he's like, wow, right to it. She's like, yep, right to it. And he's like, well, I mean, I know I'm not, or I think she said, why are you here? And I think he said, well, I'm definitely not here to be a C-lister. And she's like, okay, I mean, that's good. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? Why did you say that, sir? It's given you might be here to be a C-lister. And so he says that's when he tells us that he's from a small town of 600 people. And, I will say AD, she kind of got him to open up. And they actually had a real nice date. I was actually like, okay, I kind of like Matthew. I don't know what was going on with the other two girls. Maybe he just wasn't feeling them. But I kind of like Matthew. And so she makes a comment before he leaves out of the room and says, I feel like you're really going to shock me. And I'm thinking, girl, you have no clue. Just wait. So the next date we see in the pods is AD and Clay. Clay is a nice guy, nice looking guy. And quickly I changed my mind because he expresses to her that he likes cats. And I think she's not a really big fan of cats. And so he was like, well, the reason why I like cats so much is because he said I was going to get a cat. Because they were talking about dating and, how difficult dating has been. And he was like, yeah, I was going to get a cat. And she was like, oh, God, no. And he was like, well, the reason why I like cats is because you don't have to show them much love. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Is this how you feel about cats only, or is this really just how you are? Because no. And why wouldn't you want to show your cat love? I'm a dog lover, but if I had a cat, I would definitely be showing my cat plenty of love. Okay. So that was like, girl, caution. Okay, so now they go back to the living quarters and they start, comparing notes and telling the girls about their dates, and the guys are talking about their dates. And in the women's quarters, AD, she was like, oh my goodness, guys, I really like Matthew. And they're like, Matthew, out of all people, why? We need to hear your reason behind this. And she's just like, he was really, really weird when I first started talking to him, but I got him to open up and I really like him. Like, he's really cool. So they're like, okay, girl, if you say so, child. So the next time, I guess this is like day two, we see Amy and Johnny, and Amy is from Puerto Rico. I can't roll my tongue, y'all. And Johnny, he talks about how his family is like really close. I think he said he had a older brother and sister, and I think he's a middle child. I think he had like a younger brother, and how they had one bathroom and they all shared that one bathroom. So it's just really just saying, how close he is with his family, which to me, that was something I really enjoyed. I love when people are close with their family. Um, and she was saying how she wanted a younger brother, and she had like said this prayer, and then like that same night her mother found out that she was pregnant and ended up being a boy, so she got her younger brother. She was like, I don't want a sister because I didn't want her stealing my clothes and my shoes and stuff like that. I'm like, girl, I definitely would want a sister, but anywho, to each their own. So now we see AD with Matthew again. And he tells her how she makes him nervous but comfortable at the same time. And he expresses how much he likes her and all this stuff, and how she is the only one that he's telling this stuff to. Right? Remember that. So, okay, they're back into the women's quarters, and Jessica is saying how she like really likes Jimmy so much. And so the girls are like, well, have you told him that you have a daughter? And she's like, not yet. You know what I mean? Like, I want to, but I just haven't did it yet or whatever. So, of course, the next time we see Jessica, she is in the pods with Jimmy. And he's talking about his insecurities. He's talking about how when he grew up, he, was a little less unfortunate. And that has always been like an insecurity of his. And so this was kind of like a good segue, and for her to open up about, something that she had been holding back, because he said that that was something that he would, it would kind of, I think he said something like it was an insecurity, and from when he would be dating, he would be, scared to let people in and know that. And so she was like, yeah, well, I kind of have something that I haven't told that, I'm kind of hesitant to say. And he's like, oh, Lord, a secret. And she was like, I don't like to use the word secret because I feel like that has like a negative connotation connected with it. But I do have a daughter, and my daughter is, like a very, very important part of my life. And you literally could just feel the energy shift. He's like super quiet, which I don't blame him. I mean, that is like a big deal. Especially I think like day 2 or 3 we're on. I think we're like on day 3. So he's just like taking it all in, and he's like, why haven't we talked about this before? And she said, which is a good reason. She was just like, I mean, we really haven't talked about, do you want to have children, or do you have children? Like, we never had those conversations before. So it just kind of like never came up. It wasn't really like I was keeping it from you. And also, I want you to, just know me versus knowing me as, oh, this woman that has a child. And I don't want you to judge me by that. And so he still was very quiet for a while. I was like, oh, you can tell. You can tell that things kind of changed. Although he was like trying to make it seem like, I mean, it's cool. I'm kind of glad that you didn't tell me immediately. And, it's cool. And then he starts asking questions like, how old is your daughter? She said 10. And then he was like, it was like another dagger hit him. He was like, oh. And so he said, well, I have to ask, was this somebody that you were dating? And she was like, yeah, well, her father, we met in elementary school. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. And, they dated, she got pregnant. He asked what she was she married to him? And of course she said she was not married to him. She said actually they broke up like a year after her daughter was born. And so I kind of felt like that put a damper on things for him with her. I hope not, because I feel like they had some good chemistry. So we'll see. And it just keeps getting better for Jimmy. So next we see him in the room with Chelsea, in the pod with Chelsea. And she is sharing, or he is sharing his college stories. And she's saying, that, cause I think he said that he was the first person in his family that went to college. And she was saying how she didn't go to college. She went to like all these different trade schools. She's done cosmetology, and, baby just trying to figure out what she want to do with her life. Hi, I've been there. No judgment here. So, some kind of way she reveals. Oh, she tells him that she got married. That she was married before, and he was like, so again, and this is the same day. Remind you, he's quiet. He's like kind of taking it all in, and she's like, I was nervous with telling you this, and he was like, I don't want you to think that I'm taking it wrong. I'm just processing it. Like, give me a moment. Is that okay? Or whatever. He was like, because I don't want to, lead anybody down the wrong way, or like basically lead anybody on. And she starts to tear up a little bit. And he was like, she was like, everybody's not going to like everybody. I get it. This and that. Third. And he was like, no, that's not really what I'm saying. Like, you're thinking the opposite way of what I'm trying to tell you. He wasn't really doing a great job at expressing himself. So she just kind of took it the way that she did. And she left out the room sad, went back to the women's quarters, and she was crying a little bit. So we shall see what happens with that. But Trevor, and he did tell her, he was like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to process it, because this has like been the second heavy thing that I've been hit with today. And she's like, what, for me? And he was like, no, other people. And then he was like, my bad. I'm sorry for bringing up other people, because that was my first thought. Like, and I was hoping that he wasn't going to say Jessica's name. He didn't, so I was like, whew, thank God. I don't like when they do that. Like, you don't need to bring up other people's names. We all know that everybody's dating everybody. Like, don't do that. So anyway, they have this little split funny moment where Jamal walks in the room, in the pod. I keep saying room. Walks in the pod to have his date with Alejandra, and when he sits down, it's like pop, and he's like, "Oh sh," and she's like, "What happened?" He said, "I split my pants." Oh my god, that's hilarious, hilarious. You want to know why? Because that suit was too tight. I don't even know if he had on the same suit, but sir, you need to go up a pant size, okay? My goodness. So we move over to AD and Clayton, back in the pods. And he's opening up to her and telling her, how much he likes her and this, that, and the third. And then he drops this big old bombshell. And he's talking about how, when he proposes to his wife, when the door opens, he wants to be completely attracted to her. And basically, in a nutshell, he's asking AD to tell him how she looks. So she was like, she's sitting there like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, are you serious? And so she asked, she was like, well, I mean, is there something specific that you're expecting to see when those doors open? And he says, like pretty much like more petite girls, pretty lips, nice butt. Now, don't get me wrong. AD has all these things, right? She has a cute shape. But, sir, that's not why we're here. This show is called Love is Blind. Okay? If you wanted to see how the person looked that you were going to marry, you probably should have went on Love at First Sight, because at least you get to see the person before you say yes or no. Okay? And she's just looking like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, are you freaking joking? I was so happy that she was like, listen, that's not how I want to sell myself. Like, this is not what this experiment is about. And I'm not going to be able to do that because that's not what I signed up for. So I was happy that she was like, I'm not mad, but yeah, it's a no for me. Cool. So she walks out the room because I think they were doing like a night date. She was like, I could have went home. Okay? They could have left me at the hotel. I did not have to be over here all night long up in these pods. I heard it be cold in them pods too. And me, baby, I'm anemic. I do not want to be up in these pods all night with you. And you're not even really in this experiment for what you're really supposed to be in this experiment for. Like, you over here on the BS. But anywho, moving on. Um, we get into the last date of the episode. And it is none other than AD. I really love AD. Let me just put that out there. She's like one of my faves so far, y'all. So I really love AD. So we got AD and Matthew again. And, he's talking about how he feels like he has this deep connection with her, and if she would like to leave right now. And he's like, at this point, I feel like it's you or nothing. And she's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, she is just like over there so smitten, so happy, like she's on this cloud and I'm on the cloud with her. I'm like, oh my God, this is so sweet. Like, just for him to say, well, actually he didn't say anything. What he said was, if you want to leave right now, we can go. And she said, where will we go? Like, what are you talking about? Leave right now. Like, why does everyone come on Love is Blind and try to make their own experiment? That's not what this experiment is about. Y'all need to make your own show. But anyway, so he said, I'll take you to the mountaintop and propose to you there. I'm like, so why did you come on Love is Blind? But anywho, so, he's telling her how, that he has this deep connection with her and it's her or nothing and yada, 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 yada. And so she's just like so happy, so in awe. And she goes back to the women's quarters. And this is when I knew that my initial thought of Matthew was accurate. Actually, it was amplified times 10. Because Amber and her are sitting next to each other. And Amber leans over to her. And I don't know why I feel like Amber did this on purpose, because earlier when they were in the women's quarters and AD was talking about her date, they were all talking. And Amber said something to the fact, I think AD was saying how she liked someone or something like that. And Amber was like, oh, I know who it is, or something like that. She acted like she knew who it was. So now, boom, fast forward to they're in the women's quarters again. And Amber says to AD, I had a date with Matthew. And AD's like, oh, okay, cool. She was like, yeah, it went really good. And, he had asked me about asking my father to, I guess, for her hand in marriage. And so AD was like, oh, okay, cool. She's just taking it all in. And then Amber says, And, he asked me to draw him a map for a road to find me or something to that effect. Basically, he was telling Amber the same stuff that he was telling AD. I was like, wow, Matthew. So this is who you are. Not only were you acting weird in the first couple of dates that we saw you on, you are an F boy. And the crazy part is he doesn't even look like it. He looks like this smart country, not country boy. Actually, when I first saw him, my first thought was, it's given who what was the guy's name that married, well, he didn't marry her, but he proposed to Taylor last year. That is definitely who I thought of at first when I saw Matthew. Matthew, y'all, this is going to be a really good season. Based off the trailer, based off this first episode, this is going to be a really good season. I am excited. Love is Blind is one of my favorite shows. So I cannot wait to see how everything unfolds. Right now, my favorite AD is my favorite. I love AD. Gorgeous girl. Seems like she has a beautiful personality. She's a cheerleader. I love her. I really do. Jessica, she's a pretty girl. She's okay. I don't really have any more favorites right now, but AD is definitely my favorite. As far as the guys go, that's all I'm going to say about that. But we haven't had a chance to see all of the men yet, so I won't, say anything too bad about the guys other than Clayton. That whole I need to know what you look like rubbed me the wrong way. And Matthew, you lying and telling AD that you're only telling her this and you're clearly telling another woman the same exact thing is just like mind boggling. Like, wow. Anyways, that was the episode, y'all. So I will see y'all in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See y'all later. Bye.